Welcome, dear listeners, to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We are so glad you joined us today. This is where we take a new look, a fresh look at life and the world around us. And today we are talking about grown-up bullies. Bullies in the workplace, in your neighborhood, maybe even in your own home. Bullies you encounter as an adult, and you actually or maybe are a victim of bullying by another adult that maybe, it's surprising to you, it's startling to you, and really it's quite devastating. So we want to discuss it today. Phone lines fill up quick, Jerry, so I'm going to give the number out right now because I just know our listeners want to weigh in on this important subject. 1-800-585-9396.
Now, the word we use is bullying, and we hear this a lot for kids. I know that, Debbie, you probably had the same experience when you were in school. I think back, I was bullied. I did bullying, I'm sure. There's no doubt about that. There's always kind of a pecking order. Do you know that? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
In school, I remember, when you were seniors, you got to stand, outside the wall of the school office. If you weren't a senior, you had to be really, really cool junior. Yeah. Or you got your choice of seats on the bus, going to the games and stuff. That's not really bullying so much as just kind of I guess sort of a preference, being, allowed to have seniority or something like that. But I was born with club feet, so I always have run funny. And all through school, kids say, oh, there's two left feet,
That must have really hurt you.
Yeah, looking back, I guess it did. I don't consciously remember thinking, oh, I'm just so hurt, because I don't know. Things seem to be a little bit different today. People are just so easily offended. We were buddies. We were friends, and I thought maybe they were ribbing me, but it was a bit of bullying. But today we're talking about grown-ups and how we kind of push each other around. Debbie, in the workplace.
In neighborhoods,
in our marriages, in our extended families, neighborhoods, like you said, our co-workers, and our bosses. So, Debbie, what do we want our people to call in and share takes on today?
Well, I mean, if I had my wish list, it would be that I would love to hear from our listeners about, if they were a victim of this adult bullying and, what they did about it as a Catholic Christian. Did they respond an eye for an eye? Did they go at it right back at them, or did they pray for them, or did they, try to encourage them to come around and be better versions of themselves? Our Holy Father, when he was just here in the United States, was really touting the golden rule, do unto others. And I think that adult bullies, especially, I can actually think of a few in my life that I would consider a grown-up bully, but actually they don't act very grown-up. But they really have lost, these bullies that I'm thinking of, they really have lost their sense of their own self-esteem, their own dignity. And they have resorted to really a power play in order to make themselves feel better. And we know that from, if you read psychology books, if you look at self-help books, that bullying, there is an interior fear that happens with the person that's the bully. Believe it or not, it's so strange. They come across so powerful and so strong, but there's really an interior fear, a low self-esteem, and we can go on with the characteristics of the interior of a bully. But I'd love to hear from our listeners on what their take is and what we can do as Catholic Christians. Here come the calls, Jerry. 1-800-585-9396.
I think of an example in the media. The church is almost constantly bullied by the media now. Pope Francis has been bullied by the media recently. So there are really thousands of examples of this that you can call in and share your take on at 1-800-585-9396. Here's a bit of a sensitive one. Maybe you look back and you found yourself kind of, pushing somebody around a little bit. You were the bully, and maybe you felt bad about it. Did you make amends for that? Or if someone here, another place, Debbie, I mention this quite often on this show, is when you learn so much about human nature when you're driving a vehicle these days. And I don't know, is it a stretch to say that those who they squeeze in front of you, there's about a car length plus 2 inches.
Right.
And they get over and they say, to heck with you. I'm getting over now because that's what I want.
Yeah, narcissism.
Narcissism, but in a way, we kind of bully each other on the roads because we just speed up to get by somebody. Or I've had people, they get mad, they're behind you on your bumper and you're going 10 miles over the speed limit already.
Right.
And so you sometimes just out of spite, maybe this is bullying, I don't get over. I just say, you know what, guy, if 75 isn't good enough for you, then go around me.
Right. Road rage is really on the rise. I mean, that's a good point. That's a really good point. You learn a lot. But see, don't you think you learn a lot about people? I didn't mean to cut you off, but you just made me think of something. Don't you think you learn a lot about people driving because it's such an intensive situation anyway? Traffic is on the rise, the speed limit, everybody's speeding, and, people are putting on their makeup and talking on the phone while they're driving. I mean, it's a really stressful situation.
We feel empowered when we're behind the wheel of a car because
it's a weapon.
We just push down a little bit on that gas and vroom, away we go, and we can swerve and speed and so driving is one place. But again, the workplace, in the home, Debbie, so these are just really important things that we're talking about today, and we really look forward to you, our listeners, joining us. In fact, we're down to just one open phone line at 800-585-9396.
And we're going to be taking a break soon. When we come back, the phone lines are just filling up. We've got some interesting comments coming in. We want you to stay tuned because this is very, very important, a topic that we're addressing today, grown-up bullies. They don't act very grown-up when they're bullying somebody else. But what can we do as Catholic Christians? How can we protect ourselves? How do we arm ourselves? How do we defend ourselves? Do we defend ourselves? Do we walk away? I mean, there's so many angles to this with bullying, and I think we're addressing it on a day-to-day basis. We live in a stressful society. We live in a stressful culture. So bullying is and rage and anger and all sorts of impatience and intolerance is on the rise. And it's important for us to address it and to figure out what we can do about it. So I know we got to go to a break, but when we get back, it's important that we hear from you, our listeners. This is Peer Driven Radio. We're doing this together. We're locking arms and we're tackling this subject together. So stay with us or dial in at 1-800-585-9396. We'll be right back.
Something amazing is happening on EWTN. One wildly dynamic speaker and a team of young missionaries are on a cross-country road trip, spreading their message of hope in Christ. Their passion is awakening youth to the power of God's love. It's energetic, honest, affirming, like nothing you've seen on TV before. You're Amazing with Justin Fatika. Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern on the Global Catholic Network, EWTN.
EWTN is now on Twitter. Get short, timely messages from EWTN on your computer or cell phone. It's easy to stay up to date on a wide variety of topics. Pro-life news, Vatican announcements, catechesis, apologetics, the latest EWTN programming, and more. You can link to EWTN on Twitter from our homepage or go to twitter.com/EWTN. At work, at home, at school, and on the road. Stay connected to your world with EWTN's Twitter page.
Hi, this is Marcus Grodi. Thanks for listening to the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
God bless you. Thank you for listening to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. Happy Feast of St. Therese, one of my absolute favorites. She's a favorite of so many people. And we're talking about grown-up bullies today on the program. Have you had an experience of that? Have you been on one end or the other of bullying? How did you deal with that? And again, we're not talking about, you send your kids off to school and they come home, Mom, Dad, Billy beat me up today. I mean, that's awful if that happens. But we're seeing so much more of this in the adult sphere nowadays. Debbie, I think we're all set to go.
I do too. I'm really concerned about this first call, I have to tell you, because of the comments. So I want all our listeners to really tune in on this. Cindy from Iowa Catholic Radio. Hi, Cindy. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hello?
Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi. I just, unfortunately, I have done 12 years in public education, and now I'm a director of religious education. And I have never been so bullied in my entire life as I am with the people who are employed by the Catholic Church.
Cindy, this is why. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, we have a pastor who's not the most assertive, and that creates a power vacuum. And so the accountant and the secretary run the show. I've had fundraisers canceled by them. I've been told that curriculum was not appropriate, even though they have no bounds to say that, and our diocese has approved the curriculum. They just can't stand to leave things alone. And I'm actually, unfortunately, looking for jobs elsewhere. I'm done.
Right. So Cindy, you're the RE director?
I am.
Okay, so I want to share something with you. Here's the good news and the bad news. The good news is you're not alone. That's a common problem, believe it or not, in working for the Catholic Church, and I've heard it on numerous occasions. Now, not all parishes are like this, but I want to share something with you, and I'm going to kind of overgeneralize just a little bit, so bear with me. You've got people that are working in the church that they feel that they're not appreciated, they're underpaid, they're working very hard, and so there's a lot of power plays going on. And the reason why I know this, Cindy, is because I was actually called in my diocese a couple times to train the staff on this exact situation. So the good news is you're not alone. Here's the bad news. Unless you have a pastor or a pastoral council or a staff that is willing to go for a formation and to stop this problem, I will tell you that it's very disconcerting, and I can tell you that you're going to feel very. It's going to be a hard, situation to work in, but you're not alone, and that's the thing. And so we have to pray for these staff members at parishes because they do feel underappreciated, they do feel overworked, they do feel underpaid. And there's a lot of those human dynamics, the frailties of our human nature that are happening. And it causes, I can't tell you, Cindy, how many times I've had fellow RE directors and fellow youth ministers tell me, I was treated better in the secular world than I was in the Catholic parishes. This is a true statement, Cindy. So I would love to hear your response on that.
Unfortunately, we don't have a pastor who's going to be any more assertive. And I don't think I can outlast these people. So, unfortunately, I thought I was so excited to have a job in the Catholic Church, my dream come true. And then I'm just exhausted and embittered and deflated. So I thank you for making a call out for prayers. Those would be really appreciated. And unfortunately, in this situation, I just don't think there's a hero that can step in and fix it, and my family has really paid the price for it.
Cindy, this is Jerry. I want to just say a couple of things here. One, you've really hit on the key issue here. The pastor is the head over a parish, period. I too have seen. I've been in 2 seminaries. I've stayed in lengthy periods of time in lots of rectories. I've had close association. I was a seminarian. I know sometimes the machinery that gets to grinding, within chanceries and parishes and so forth. And this is, folks, it's just human nature, Debbie and I absolutely are in deep love with the church. And Cindy, I hope you are too. I hope this isn't going to in any way at all shake your faith in the church. But the thing is, the pastor has to have control of all things in the parish. And if you have a pastor who just simply doesn't want to, get into a messy situation,
sure,
then maybe the answer is for you to get out. But I will also say this, Cindy, we hear your heart, and I have no reason to believe it's not just in a beautiful, beautiful place that you are in this for the sake of service. I'm sure Debbie would agree with me. I have seen so many people who wanted church jobs because they thought it gave them status or prestige or something like this, and it's really for the wrong motives. And that immediately introduces into a situation an unhealthy environment. because then it creates competition, and I'm going to, get you under my thumb, and you answer to me. And there needs to be, there can only be one posture in church ministry, and that is a posture of humility, that we are called to serve for the sake of the kingdom of God and the salvation of souls. And and I'm not saying this about your coworkers, I can't judge anybody, but Debbie, if we don't have that posture, then, and let's face it, the enemy is always going to get in there, anything to do with the church, and try and create clashes.
Just like the family, Jerry, Satan is attacking in the family, attacking church ministry. But Cindy, what Jerry said was so profound. Cindy, please don't lose your ministerial dream of having your job. You need to keep that dream, because that is a vocation, Cindy. That was given to you by God. That's a desire for you to minister in the church and serve in the church. Don't let that be stopped because of a human being standing in your way in church, a fellow colleague in the church office. That should never stop you. Please remember this. I will tell you, Cindy, I worked for 5 different churches in my diocese. And one of the churches I moved from to another church was because of the exact same reason that you're calling up. And that's why I said I was really concerned about your calling in, because it's a serious situation in church ministry. And I moved. I actually went to the pastor and I said, let me make this really clear. My ministry is in religious education. I'm gonna be a religious educator no matter what. And if you can't handle this situation here at the parish, I've got to move to another parish, because I'm not doing God's calling, God's work. And so please, I hope you take that and it inspires you and actually gives you that empowerment to move forward in your vocation, Cindy.
So much. I appreciate it.
All right. We will pray for you, Cindy, and we're going to pray for all people, because it's a sublime calling to be involved in any sort of church ministry, and it's just so easy for pride to creep in or other things, and we certainly wouldn't want to see that happen in any situation. So, Cindy, God bless you. We're going to go right over to Doug in Chicago. Doug is listening on Sirius XM 130. Doug, you're on Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie. How are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you.
Good. So what can we do for you after you turn your radio down?
I just wanted to share. Is the radio a problem?
Yeah, we can hear it in the background. Jerry's coming in twice, and I can only handle one time.
I'm hearing voices, Doug. Are you there?
Oh, Doug just dropped off. Maybe he had turned his radio off, and then he turned us
well,
off.
Sorry. We meant turn your radio down. Don't hang up, Doug.
Yeah, Doug, call back.
Your line is still open, Doug, so call us back. I want to hear what you had to say.
Yes.
800-585-9396. Meanwhile, we'll go to Susan in Denver, listening on Denver Catholic Radio. Hello, Susan. You're on the air. How are you?
Good morning. Good, and you?
Very well, thanks.
I just wanted to comment to that. I have a 10-year-old boy, and he's in 5th grade. He's a boy who loves God, and we pray together a lot. Last year he was bullied by some kids at his school. This is a public school. They were using really bad language and just out of the blue telling him bad words just to bug him. So I told him to not, when someone said the F word to him, just to turn around and say, God bless you. And so he did. And we've been praying for those kids, a couple of kids especially, so that, God could send angels to protect him and protect those kids and show them kindness. Yesterday he came from school really worried because his teacher moved those 2 kids to his stable. Now he's going to have those 2 kids for the rest of the month in his stable, and I know he's really concerned. So we prayed yesterday and this morning for him and for those 2 boys, that God will give them under his protection and protect my son, and send angels, warrior angels, all over that classroom to minister peace and kindness. And I'm just trying to encourage him and give him the tools that will enable him to be good and be kind to them and be a light for those kids in his classroom.
Right. Susan, can I, mom to mom, I have 2 boys. Both of them are raised. They're grown up now, and both of them went through public school. Susan, I just want to maybe encourage you to please stay in touch with I actually do a teaching on schoolyard bullying. And so your 10-year-old son, I think how you have equipped him in prayer and to have him really really hunker down in prayer and ask God for the wisdom and the graces and the angels to protect him. Absolutely. But Susan, I would encourage you to please communicate with the teachers and let the teachers know that you are concerned about this. This is a problem that's happening. You have to make awareness of it, because here's the thing, Susan. If it were me, I'm just going to share this with you. If that were my child and he was placed at the table with those other boys that have been bullying him, I would very simply have walked into the teachers at the end of the school day, said, as Mrs. So-and-so, whatever, you need to move those boys from my son's table, period. You have the right to do that. Your son does not have to endure that all day long while he's trying to learn his subjects and while he's trying to be peaceful in school. So I would just encourage you, Susan, and I'm going to pray for you that if you do decide after discernment to talk to the teacher, that the teacher is very open and is really supportive.
Yeah, and I think this raises a good point. Susan, today our topic really is about adults who bully other adults, but I think by your call coming in, you sort of make the, I think, very important point that this starts early in life.
It does.
If we don't help our young boys and girls learn virtue and appropriate tolerance, that word can be misused a lot, but a tolerance of others who may not play the same sport that they do, or not be as good at it, or just because they're a girl and not a boy, or whatever. We need to teach virtue, charity, patience, and if these things aren't being learned, Debbie, on the playground, then they're going to be repeated in the workplace.
That's exactly right. I just want to say one more thing, Susan. When my son was, you just made me think of this. When my son was younger in public school, he had a kind of a really annoying schoolmate that sat across from him at the desk, because Jerry, they do these things now where they're like group tables. So everybody sits at a table. You're not in your own little desk. When we were kids, we had our own little personal space. These kids
in the classroom?
Oh yeah, they sit at group tables.
Oh my goodness.
So you are face to face like we are right now, and constantly seeing that person all day long. And my son was getting kicked under the table. He would come home with bruises from his knees all the way down. And I said to my son, what's happening? He told me. He said, please, Mom, don't say anything. I said, you got to trust me on this one. I went to the teacher and I said, listen, this boy is kicking my son. I don't want this happening anymore. And she said, thank you. I'll keep it very low key. I'll move this boy. She moved the boy to the other end of the room. My son had a great year, and it was just good. So I don't know, Susan, if that can help. We just want to thank you so much for calling in. Any last quick comments? We have to take a break.
Thank you. I will pray about it and talk to the teacher. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Susan. You sound like a great mom, and God bless you. And tell your son we're so happy for him. He sounds like a great, great prayerful youngster. So thank you. Thank you. Okay, we got to take a break.
Yeah, and it's beautiful, though, that, Susan has that concern. I hate to say that so many parents just, kind of send their kids off to school in the morning and really don't have that personal, intimate involvement in their kids' lives. So this is very important that we stress that as well. We did get Doug back from Chicago. Doug, hang on just a minute, because we have a break coming up in just about 1 minute, and this is what they call in radio a hard break. In other words, if we
can't move it?
We could keep talking, but nobody would hear us.
Really? They just cut us off?
Yeah, the computer just kind of says, okay, my turn. The computer becomes a bully in about a minute and 15 seconds. So, Doug, we'll get to you after that. But Debbie, on Facebook, Adela said, the best thing to deal with a big bully is to pray for them, also ignore them. I keep away from them and proclaim the precious blood upon them and my surroundings.
Wow,
Amen.
That's powerful.
And Dolly said, mostly I ignore them in person and pray for them in private. Their behavior speaks volumes about them, but says nothing about me. That's perfect comment.
Wait, say that again?
Dolly says, grown-up bullies' behavior speaks volumes about them, but it says nothing about me. It's kind of like sticks and stones may break my bones.
Yeah. Wow, this is good stuff today. I'm taking so many notes. Okay, we're going to have to go to a quick break. When we get back, we got Doug back from Chicago. We're so glad. Jerry and I thought maybe we had offended him or something, so we're so glad he called back. Doug, stay on. You hear that music? We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to keep going to the phones about adult bullying. Stay with us.
It's the start of a new day for Morning Catholic Radio.
Thank you for joining us this morning. So I have to ask, what made little old you invite the Pope to your prison?
And remember, we are recording this.
And we're live.
Unmitigated gall, perhaps?
Hey, that's awesome. Morning Glory, Catholic from the start. Weekday mornings, 7 Eastern on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
60 Seconds with Mother Angelica.
We have to think the way God thinks. See? If I hate my brother, that's not how God thinks. If you lie or cheat, it's not how God is. If you have a hot temper, if you're proud, arrogant, if you find it hard to forgive and forget, it's not like God. So what does that mean? It means you're not acting like God. You know, it's foolish to think that you're going to die and pop, boom, right into heaven when you hate half the people there. You know, you still hate your mother-in-law. You still hate, may she rest in peace, but you hope she doesn't. All these people you don't even like.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
Get an insider's look at the latest information from EWTN. Sign up for Wings, EWTN's weekly email newsletter. Get the latest information about live events, special features, and guests. Connect with EWTN on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Just go to EWTN.com and click on the Wings link to sign up. Don't miss a minute of all that's happening at EWTN. Get your wings today.
It's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. This is EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. Follow us on Twitter at Take Two Show and like us on Facebook. It's EWTN Catholic Radio. Phone number 1-800-585-9396. We're talking about grown-up bullies, adults who kind of shove each other around, whether that's on the internet, in the workplace, on the freeway, what have you.
They don't act like adults, though.
No, they don't.
I know. Okay, go ahead.
800-585-9396. We did get Doug back from Chicago, as Debbie said, listening on Sirius XM 130. Hello, Doug.
Hey, Doug.
Hey, Jerry and Debbie. The problem was I thought I had the radio off when I was on Bluetooth, but I couldn't hear the radio. Oh, no.
Okay.
Okay. We were so glad you called back.
Thanks for
you.
calling back, Doug.
Well, in the second grade, I was a bit of a bully with a particular student, maybe some others that I don't remember. But my folks talked to me about it and set up a play date with the student. And then, that was kind of the end of it for me. And I kind of understood it was something that I can't do anymore. So I kind of converted to just the opposite. I'd be the protector. So if I saw somebody getting bullied, then, I kind of stepped in, kind of straighten things out. But as an adult, I think I just despise in the workplace bullies of any type. So, if it's in the workplace and it's a boss and it's like, well, what are you going to do? Quit or talk to the boss or what? So I've had good bosses and bad bosses. One, I just walked into his office and explained, you can't treat me like that in front of other people, and that worked just fine. Other bosses that I've had probably would have gotten me fired, but what I decided to do was just do what I want to do anyway, and it kind of worked for me.
Yeah,
I feel a problem with road rage kind of a thing, but I think it was just so much stress from work, and just trying to get to and from, and just falling into the trap of the road rage thing. But I kind of grew out of that.
It's easy to fall into all of this stuff, and it's interesting you mentioned going from bully to protector.
Again, that happens a lot, by the way.
Well,
but go ahead.
I was going to say, we're not really talking about schoolyard bullying here today, but I just wanted to share a story. It's not really funny, but it just really shocked me. I was in high school, and one of my how did this work? Somebody was bullying me. I think it was one of my teachers, came over and was giving me a hard time. And one of the guys in my school came over and decked him. Just put a teacher on the floor. And I went,
oh my gosh, that's horrible.
Well, and I tried to find a nice way of saying, I appreciate the help, but,
that kind of made my life worse.
You don't have to go that far. But, yeah, that's interesting. So, Doug, anything else? Debbie, do you have anything to tag on to what Doug said?
I just think it's great that Doug, had that revelation and, made that change and, really saw it from both sides. And I think that is, that gives you a good perspective of what's really happening. The problem with bullying, Doug, is that so many of these, especially what we're calling quote unquote grown-up bullies, they've really got self-esteem issues and problems. You can tell when insecurities, yes. And when they bully, it's that one little bit of sense of power that they're missing in their own life. And what's really sad, if they could just tap into the power of the Holy Spirit and the power that God has for us and the love he has and mercy he has for us, there wouldn't be a need to have to communicate or interact with others the way they do. And so I think, Doug, you kind of saw it from all angles, and I think that's really interesting. And I appreciate you imparting that to us today and calling back on Take Two.
Anything else, Doug?
To Cindy, and I think you already said it, but just Cindy, do not leave and don't give up. You just need to, as you described, you need to go to the pastor and kind of help him figure out how to manage it.
And like you said, Debbie, as you did in your own experience, if that doesn't work, go somewhere else.
Right. But I kept ministering. I never quit.
Yeah.
I never quit. And here's the interesting thing, and I hope Cindy's still listening, and this is what's fascinating, Jerry. Actually, when I did depart that one parish and move to another parish, that's when my ministry vocation really blossomed. It really, truly blossomed. So it was almost like God, that old saying, God closes a door and opens a window. It really did happen to me. I was, that situation turned into a real positive.
Thanks, Doug, for persevering and getting through twice today on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Talking about grown-up bullies. Debbie likes to put grown-up in air quotes. They are what do they say? Chronologically adults, but are they?
They don't act like adults.
Yeah, and this could be a problem for all of us. So join us with your take on this. 1-800-585-9396. Speaking of Cindy's call, looks like Joyce in Maine has a little bit of help for Cindy. Hello, Joyce. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Hi, Joyce.
Joyce, are you there?
As Patrick Coffin would say, going twice. We'll put Joyce back on hold for a minute and try to get to her. In the meantime, Maria Teresa, listening on Mater Dei Radio in Salem, Oregon. Beautiful name, Maria Teresa. Is today a feast day for you?
Yes, indeed.
Oh, happy feast day.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And I was calling because you're talking about the adult bullies. I worked with an adult bully for 22 years. And it was horrible. It was awful. And she bullied anything from my religion to my culture to anything and everything. And because she was an older lady, I had a lot of respect for her. In our culture, you must respect your elders no matter what. When I really lost my respect for her was when she bullied my religion, and she brought a Ouija board to the office.
Oh.
Just to bully me, just to, I don't know.
Knowing that would offend you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I told her the night before, I said, you better not bring that Ouija board to this working place, She was a secretary, but I was hired. I had more authority than her. But yet, because she was an elder lady, I respected her so much. Mm-hmm. But when she brought the Ouija board, and I told her, you better not bring the Ouija board, because she said, I'm going to bring my Ouija board to work tomorrow. And I said, you better not bring it. And she brought it anyways. And she put it right in front of my desk so I would see it,
Mm-hmm.
So while she went into the bathroom, I always carried holy water. I poured holy water on her box of a Ouija board, and I told her, I said, well, aren't you guys going to play your Ouija board? You know, I turned like her. I was just, I don't know, I know that in my heart I did wrong, but, you know, nobody touched the Ouija board. She went and grabbed it after I poured holy water. She didn't even notice it. She grabbed it and she took it and put it in the back of the car. And that's all she did. She did not say a word. She didn't say anything to me. I don't know if it was a prayer that I prayed for her, you know, or it was God that maybe touched her heart and said, you know, do not bring that Ouija board out here.
Well, Maria Teresa, let me just say, I'm not sure you did the wrong thing by dashing a little bit of holy water on that. Ouija boards are extremely serious, and it's dabbling in the demonic. It is allowing evil to enter into a space, a particular space. This is actually an explicit welcoming of evil and the satanic into the workplace. So, I mean, just if for no other reason, just simply to provide yourself with a little bit of protection, I'm not sure that was a bad thing to do. But, Debbie, this raises a point that bullying isn't always just getting up and getting in somebody's face.
Yeah.
It can be appointing a room in a certain way that somebody doesn't like. It could be bringing
religious attacks.
Attacking someone's religion by bringing a Ouija board into the office.
Exactly.
It can be subtle things that you really have even less recourse about, because what are you going to say? I don't like that Wiccan symbol you put up on the wall in your office. What are you going to say? Because that nowadays, especially, that's just that's intolerance.
Right, exactly. Maria Teresa, I'm curious, what happened to this lady? I mean, I give you a lot of credit. I have to tell you, it sounds like you were in a position of authority.
Well,
she was.
Yes, it was like I had to take her like my daily cross. You know, okay, God, you want her to be my daily cross? I will deal with her. Every day I got bullied by this lady. Every single day. From the morning she walked in till at 5 o'clock when she left.
Maria, can I Maria, can I ask you, were you in a position of authority to report her or to terminate her or anything, or did you, what was the deal?
Well, I could report her, but like I said, you know, she was also like in need of a job. You know?
Okay. So you felt bad for her?
I felt really bad for her ignorance, for her, for not believing in God, you know? For not believing in how bad the Ouija board is.
Right. Well, real quickly, Maria Teresa, what happened to her? I mean, fast forward, what happened to her?
After a while, where I worked, a new manager took over, and then she got dismissed.
She got dismissed. Okay, so she
got dismissed because she was making a lot of errors, and you know she was just an older lady, and I did not dismiss her. I didn't even say a word when they asked me if I wanted her or not. I just said no comment. That was enough for them.
Well, Maria, I give you a lot of credit because you are definitely my hero today, because you really, you know, endured that, and that was a cross. And I just want to tell you, you know, I'm really, you know, inspired by you today, and I'm going to pray for that lady because she really sounded like a troubled soul to do that. I mean, to go that low. And but I appreciate you calling in today on sharing your take on this important subject.
Yeah, thank you, Maria Teresa. Beautiful name. Again, happy feast day. It's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. As we get set to go to the break, we'll have Rich roll that for us right now. Terry Paul on Facebook said, I noticed those bullies in Facebook have no pictures of themselves and no information. Tells you something. He says some terrible comments on Pope Francis, but they stopped when they must have seen positive comments and thousands of people coming out to see him. So our actions in charity can change people's hearts. More Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and your calls straight ahead.
60 Seconds with Father Mitch Pacwa.
The state has responsibility to orient things, but they can't take over the rights of the family. Like in China, to have one child and that's it. It's a disaster over there. How many tens of millions of abortions have gone on? And one of the things that as a result of that is because of the preference to have boy children rather than girls, you have, for every 1,000 boys, there are 850 girls. This is a great imbalance. Same thing is going on in northern India. So this is where the government cannot take away the primary and inalienable responsibility of married couples and families. And they cannot employ methods which fail to respect the person and fundamental human rights. Beginning with the right to life, the government cannot force you to kill innocent human beings and still be a humanistic government. It's an evil government.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
Hello, this is Johnette Benkovic. Thanks for listening to the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Okay, we're back on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. And we are just so glad you joined us. We're talking about grown-up bullies today, and bullying in the workplace, in the home, in the neighborhood, anywhere that you have experienced it, or if you are one of those bullies. We want to hear from you. So we're going to move right along to Karen in Lafayette, Louisiana, listening on Christ Our King Radio. Hi, Karen. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi. How are y'all today?
We're great.
Good.
Doing well, Karen. Better now that you called.
I'm doing good. I wanted to tell two stories of grown-up bullies. I became a teacher, and I taught all together 33 years. But at one point, my husband and I were living in another town, and we made up our mind when the last day of school is we're going back to Lafayette. So there was a principal in a Catholic school that called, and he said, I want you. I've already talked to your former principal. I know you're the one I want. I already have the contract. And so we said, well, when we come through to go to the festival, can we stop? And he said, sure. So I was hired. He soon had to leave because his wife had Alzheimer's. Another man came, and he was really good. He listened, and he tried to cooperate with the ideas from the teachers, and then he left, and another man came who was just awesome, but it was the end of his career, and he said he ended with a breath of fresh air in the Catholic school. But a new lady came, and she was with the good principal the first year. The second year, it was horrible. We would go in the classroom, several of us, and pray and cry before the day started. Well, one of my friends got an offer from public school, and she left, and I said, oh, no, I'm going to stay for the children. Well, it wasn't long before it was Christmas. I had gone home for break. My house caught on fire.
Oh, no.
I was going through chemotherapy, and right in the middle of my ex-husband and my friend helping me clean the burned up stuff and haul what I could out of the house, she called. And she said, I need you to come over here now. And I said, Miss Johnny, you know, my house is burned. I'm going through chemotherapy. I don't think it's good to come now. No, I need you now. So I went. Well, she fired me. And the priest at that time, I knew him already, and I would have never thought this, but he never came to the school except after school. He would come with his little dog he got from Belgium, and he had a very fancy car, but he didn't know what was going on at the school. And so he didn't stand up for anybody. But the parents were so angry that they started pulling their children out of school. And they really did go to the bishop, but that didn't help.
Well, Karen, forgive me, Karen, can you just kind of bring this into like a nugget of your concern?
Yeah.
Demi and I would love to maybe share some thoughts with you on that.
Okay, I have to tell you one more thing. I went back to public school, and then another Catholic school had a need of a kindergarten teacher. And my principal at the school where I was subbing, she said, I've already called and given you your recommendation. You can go. So it was Immaculate Heart of Mary. I was like the first girl. I'm like, oh, yes, Mary, you're on this campus. Thank you, thank you. Well, it didn't go very well. The principal fired everybody from cafeteria workers, janitors, to teachers, to assistants, to secretaries. and we never knew what happened to the people. She would do it on a Friday, and we didn't know. One man was beaten with a brick. One man was going through cancer. One lady had won Teacher of the Year award in February and was fired the next month. I was fired on a Friday and ended up, she was not qualified at all. She only had a PE degree.
Karen, forgive me. Karen, I have to ask you, please. Karen, I have to ask you, just please, in 15 seconds or so. We got a lot of other callers. I don't want to disrespect your beautiful call, but we want to be able to kind of give you some insights. If you can sort of just really hone in on what you think your thought would be.
Do what?
Debbie.
Well,
what,
I would just love to comment, Karen. When you're sharing again, it goes back to exactly when Cindy called in as well. Satan is going to attack anything that has to do with moving the mission of God, moving souls closer to God. And Satan will be there. He's there in the family, attacking the family, trying to tear it apart. He's in the parishes. He's in churches and in staffs. And this is why it's vitally important. Karen, you bring up a really good point. And if pastors, I would just suggest, if you're listening right now to Take Two, please do staff formation so that the staff members of your schools and of your parishes are aware that this is happening. Satan will creep in at any little crack he can get his, horrible, face through. And here's the problem: is we think we're safe when we're on campus, parish campuses and school campuses, Catholic school campuses. We think we're safe because it's holy ground, it's blessed ground. But guess what? That's when Satan's right there, right around the corner. So please, this is an important topic. I think this really is a wake-up call for all of our parishes to do staff formation so that they are aware.
Yeah, and I would say, I would add on to that, and Debbie, I know you didn't imply otherwise, but obviously, Catholic schools are blessed places, too.
They are.
I mean, we've met so many people who just, everywhere I go around the country. I didn't go to Catholic schools myself. I didn't have that great gift. But now, as I travel around and I meet the principals and the teachers and the parents and the volunteers.
Amazing.
They're just absolutely top-notch people. Debbie's point, I think, if I can kind of jump in on this, is simply that, when you're in an environment like that where parents want their kids to not only get, the reading, writing, and arithmetic taught correctly, but the faith and
Catholic
virtue
education.
and charity. Yeah, the enemy is going to try to get in there. But again, it all boils down to human nature. It's like when you see a priest fall, in a scandalous way. Yeah, is it awful? Yes. Is he human? Yes.
But it doesn't mean the Catholic Church is bad.
Right, but we need to understand,
exactly.
A man is ordained, warts and all. People are hired by parishes and Catholic schools, warts and all, baggage and all. We're all human beings. So there are going to be sometimes ugly situations.
Absolutely. But you do get into a false sense of security because you do think that you're in ministry. Oh, I'm safe. I've got all these religious symbols
You think
around.
it would never happen here.
Exactly. But human nature still prevails and Satan still is attacking. And so this is a really good topic. This is more of an awareness for us to stay alert and to realize that our brothers and sisters, especially in ministry and Catholic school teachers, to please, really we need to pray and we have to constantly form ourselves in the faith. Okay, Tammy, we're going to move right to you. We only have a few minutes. This show goes very, very fast. And Tammy, welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm dealing with a bully. I'm one of 5 girls, and my second eldest sister has kind of taken the reins as far as taking care of our elderly mother. She is now in a care facility with dementia and Alzheimer's.
Right.
And I'm the closest that lives to Mom, and so of course a lot of things have fallen on my shoulders. In prior, of course, to her going there, it was all of her bills, her cooking, cleaning. I mean, like caring for a child, when you have this disease, it takes away little by little.
Right.
Long story short, she has convinced a lot of our family members that I was guilty of stealing, that I've not done things, appropriately with Mom, with her finances, that I'm a bad person, I'm this and that. And she's done that with me and all of us. She's just like, she'll act like she's your friend and be great and be there and be, where you're thinking things are okay, and then all of a sudden she's talking to everybody else, and
right,
you're just the garbage.
Right,
literally the garbage.
Right, Tammy, and please forgive us. The show is about ready to close, but I just wanted to address this. And you can actually email us at take2@EWTN, and I would love to continue this conversation offline because I may have some insights that can maybe help you. But right now, you said you're one of 5 girls. That's 5 girl personalities all together. It's a big family, and when you have different personalities, especially when you have a family member that you're caring for, your mom, who has really serious aging, she's aging in a way with, like you said, dementia, and it requires a lot of attention, a lot of care, a lot of patience. These personalities are going to rise their ugly heads. What I would suggest is to please seek some outside counseling and help for your family to stay unified. And I will tell you, again, you're not alone. There are a lot of families when this happens that this is exactly what occurs. And maybe offline we could continue the conversation going. I wish we had another hour at this point. We could talk about this. But Tammy, we're going to pray for you and your family and your mom that you can continue to have the strength to endure that. And please know, you know the truth and God knows the truth. And that's the most important thing. Whatever people say about us, that doesn't matter. God knows the truth.
Yeah, I don't know, Debbie, if it was on the air or off the air, you and I were talking about this recently, how it's often when there's an illness, especially...
Or money.
Especially a parent. An illness or a parent dies.
Yep.
I may have mentioned that, this is extreme, but I called to make an appointment with my chiropractor a few months ago and said it was disconnected, and I went to another one, and they said he had been shot and killed by his brother in a dispute over their mother's home who had passed away. So human nature can be really ugly, and we've talked a little bit about that today.
We did.
But my takeaway is, Debbie, we can always overcome these things by prayer and virtue. I think Doug's call from Chicago proved that.
Absolutely. Prayer and fasting and sacrifice. And Karen and Lisa and Lorraine and Joan, we're so sorry. We wanted to get to you, but keep the conversation going on Facebook or Twitter or take2show.com. We want to hear from you, and we want to learn and grow together. Tomorrow is about volunteering. Do you feel appreciated? Well, join in. But until then, have a beautiful and blessed day.